Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody who has joined this webinar. Thanks for joining in. My name is Aman Dikshit. I am part of CloudKeeper. I manage sales and strategy for the business. And today we'll be talking about a few tips and tricks which are outside of the conventional realm on how we can save a lot of money and a lot of dollars for clients on AWS. So a few introductions about our panelists today. As I said, will be the host for you today. I am part of the sales and strategy function. I have Aman Aggarwal with me, who heads our CloudKeeper business. Aman comes with a decade of experience and is a certified solution architect on AWS. We have two esteemed panelists with us today. Alan Pai, he's the head of engineering for Fave. Fave is one of South Asia's leading fintech platforms, operates out of 35 cities in the Southeast Asia region. And Alan has been an industry veteran, been there for more than a decade now. And we also have Ben Trigger. He's the Chief Technology Officer at Qoria. Qoria is one of the world's leading child digital safety and well-being platforms, and is a pretty interesting solution for, taking care of our children in this digital world. Right? Thanks, Alan and Ben, for joining us today. Right. Moving on to the agenda, we'll first talk about who we are, what we do with different clients globally and how we're able to help them. We'll then jump on to the conventional hacks that people use, typical, blogs and articles that kind of suggest what we can optimize on AWS. We'll then, since we're managing almost 250 plus clients globally, talk about the typical challenges we come across with different clients and how we're able to help them. We'll then jump on to our, the magic tricks or the unconventional hacks on how we can help. And we are helping a lot of clients with a lot of pain points and areas. And of course, we'll talk about CloudKeeper, who we are, what we do, and how we can help you guys joining us today. We can then take up standard FAQs that we have and, tell you and help you with our answers or whatever clients come up with their queries that, whenever we are talking to newer clients. Then we'll kind of open it up for Ben and Alan to talk about how their experience and journey was with CloudKeeper. And then, of course, we'll open up to Q&A. Please make it a interactive session. We don't want it to be a monologue, to be very honest. So we'll be happy to answer any questions. Feel free to kind of jump in the chat, raise hands, and we'll be happy to take up any questions. Yeah, perfect. So a little bit about who we are. So CloudKeeper is a premier consulting partner of AWS, an audited MSP and an authorized reseller. We have been in business for more than a decade now, and we manage approximately 300 odd clients across their FinOps journeys, which includes financial institutions, healthcare firms, a lot of DNB and ISV companies globally, and even public listed enterprises and VC-backed government bodies, right? That's what we are. We are around 2,500 plus people. We are HQ'd out of Singapore. And as I said, we were partnered with AWS since 2013. We have physical offices and clients in all these regions, which is US, Singapore, India, UAE, and Australia. We typically manage around $120 million of AWS billing and have till date delivered upwards of $100 million of savings to our clients. We are an ISO 27001 and a SOC 2 certified organization. So at times, people have skepticism about what data access we'll need or how we'll access the infrastructure to deliver these savings. We'll, of course, cover that in more detail, but you're well covered from that standpoint. And if you kind of look at across our clients, what savings are we delivering? It's typically in an average range of around 20% annually for them. It's a decent number. Yeah. I'll now open it up to Aman Aggarwal. We'll kind of start with a quick poll and then he'll take up the webinar forward. Over to you, Aman.
Thank you, Aman. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Let's start with a quick poll just to better understand our audience. What is your role in the current organization? We'll wait for a few more seconds. All right. Here is a quick view of, so we have some C-level executives, head of infrastructure, business executives, and DevOps team professionals joining us today. So let's start talking about what does the conventional wisdom tell us when we look at our cloud cost optimization journey. Some standard mechanisms that we look at is we look at purchasing reservation or saving plan based on our compute or database usage. We downgrade underutilized resources, identify any unused resources lying in the account and remove those. Uh, Moving to spot instances wherever possible, wherever there is a stateless architecture, as Spot basically offers lowest price instances, even cheaper than 3-year reservations. Um, Containerization helps in better resource utilization and thereby reducing cost. Implement auto-based scaling, time-based scheduling to align the infrastructure based on the user traffic on real time. Implement S3 storage lifecycle instead of using standard storage for most all kind of storage. Rather look at different storage options like infrequent access, single zone, long-term archival to reduce your cost. Leverage backup manager to again archive or delete legacy snapshots on an ongoing basis. Use private IPs to avoid data transfer. Many times we come across cases when customers are using public IPs while interacting within AWS infrastructures hosted in same region or same availability zone. So those charges can be avoided by ensuring that we are using private IPs. And last but not the least, migrate to latest generation instances. As a standard, Amazon always ensures that whenever they are launching a new generation instance, it is available at a cheaper price compared to the current instance that was available. So it's like you are moving from an i3 to i5 to i7 processor at a lower cost. So just a quick poll: how many are these same? How many of you use these different levers, and are there any other levers that you use for your cost optimization initiatives? We'll wait for a few more seconds. All right, let's quickly look at the results. As expected, top 3 are the most common ones: purchasing reservations, downgrading underutilized, or removing idle resources. Spot and container adoption used to be relatively much lower, I would say, a couple of years back, but now good to see that most of the organizations are focusing on adoption of Spot and containerized environments. And same with implementing S3 storage or backup manager, we see increasing trend in adoption of those features. So we understand multiple levers. So what are the challenges that we face? Why is still analysts like Gartner, ISG still continue to claim that there is 35% of the cloud spend is still wastage and there is a scope for optimization? So generally common challenges that we come across is that there is a lot of effort needed to identify those inefficiencies into the setup. While it might take much lower time to implement those changes, but yeah, generally like DevOps is a lean team. They have responsibility to take care of new deployments, automation, any performance issues, any outages, security, compliance. So cost optimization almost always takes a back seat. Hence, they are not able to spare time to identify what actions need to be taken. Some of the saving mechanisms like reservation, saving plan, private pricing, they come with a commitment obligation, and there might be technical debt, or there might be other business constraints because of which customers are not in a position to get into those long-term commitment obligations. Team may not have bandwidth or the required skill set to implement those changes. Many a times customers are not even aware of the new features that Amazon continues to launch over a period of time, and how those can help customers reduce their cost. There are, while Amazon does provide native tools like Compute Optimizer, Cost Explorer, Trusted Advisor, but these tools are good in early stages. But as we move forward, we need more sophisticated tools to better analyze. Those tools generally come at a cost, and generally they are DIY, do it yourself in nature. So while you end up spending some money to get those insights, there is no guarantee whether they will actually help you reduce the cost or not. So how do we define what do we mean by unconventional? Our definition is that an unconventional solution should ideally have no impact on the current setup performance. It would be good if there is no downtime. There is no commitment obligation, and should require no or minimal effort to get started. And while we're doing all this, there should be a guaranteed outcome that the customers should look at. That's how we introduce CloudKeeper. That's what we're doing with 300 plus customers. It's an end-to-end unconventional FinOps solution where we help customers run a cost-efficient setup on AWS using three different levers: guaranteed savings, a platform for analytics and governance, and a dedicated team to help customers optimize the setup on an ongoing basis. Let's deep dive on all three. Uh, in terms of guaranteed savings, what we basically do is we currently manage billing for 300 plus customers with a consolidated spend of close to $120 million per annum. That allows us to go very aggressive in terms of doing 3-year reservation purchases with Amazon. And what we guarantee to the customers is that when you route the billing through us, you run everything on demand, but still get billed at saving plan reserved like pricing. And we contractually guaranteed that 100% of your usage will be covered under reservation or saving plan rates throughout the engagement. That means any seasonal spikes, any new servers that you launch get billed at that pricing right from the first hour. At the same time, if you are able to optimize, you are able to move to spot instances or serverless architecture, you do not have any obligation to pay for the unused inventory. That risk is absorbed by the CloudKeeper. Similarly, if you're using CloudFront or AWS support, so we already have a large contractual construct with Amazon for CloudFront based on the consolidated usage, so we can offer discounts there. AWS support has a tiered pricing model, so we benefit from that model when consolidating usage of multiple customers. So we can offer discounted price for AWS business support or enterprise support. Customers who are at a higher end, spending probably more than $500,000 per annum, they may look at something called as Amazon EDP, Enterprise Discount Program. It's a construct that wherein in lieu of a commitment, you are able to get a discount on the total billing. If that EDP is routed through us, then we are able to offer relatively much higher discounts at a lower commit. For all of the above, there is no change required in the above in any of your existing setup. Your day-to-day operations continue as is. At the same time, we do not need any kind of access to your AWS account, and whatever savings that we are proposing are contractually guaranteed. Second layer, so this is the first layer. These are the savings that start from kind of day one as soon as we start the engagement. Once the customers are onboarded, they get access to our cost governance platform, CloudKeeper Lens, which gives you multiple dashboards to better understand your daily, weekly, hourly spend trend, cost breakup for different resources, like what is the cost of each S3 bucket, each CloudFront distribution, each EBS volume or snapshot lying in your account, what is the cost of each instance, what is the breakup of data transfer from each server, each load balancer, etc. All those insights and recommendations are available on the platform that helps you focus on resources which showcase unexpected cost or the costless resources. Last but not the least, there is a dedicated team of 300 plus AWS certified DevOps and cloud experts, architects, technical account managers who again work with all the customers to conduct well architected reviews, provide recommendations on what kind of architectural changes can be done to further optimize the cost. Are there any inefficiencies, unused, underutilized inventory lying in the account? How can customers leverage the latest features or services to further improve their architecture? And then again, we also look at some of the unconventional mechanisms to ensure higher savings. For example, in many cases, we see that customers need high performance IOPS. So they provision IOPS which has much higher cost. You might be aware that each EBS volumes comes with 3 IOPS guaranteed for each GB of the volume that you provision. So instead of like provisioning 3000 IOPS, it might be much cheaper to simply provision a 1 terabyte EBS volume to get the same performance at a lower cost. So we look at some different mechanisms. Similarly, we come across cases when customers say that they benchmark their Intel-based instances compared to AMD or Graviton, but they did not see similar performance, hence they decided to continue with Intel-based processors. What we commonly find is that the comparison is generally done between uh, same hardware configuration. However, more than the hardware performance, what we are as a customer we should be focused on is uh, the ROI for the spend that we are doing. So, what is the value for each dollar that we are spending on those instances? So, in some of the regions like AMD or Graviton are 30 to 40% cheaper compared to same configuration on Intel-based instance types. So, instead of comparing 10 Intel based instead like 10 M5 instances versus 10 M5A or M6G instances, I would rather compare the performance of 10 M5 instances with 13 M5 AMD based instances or maybe 14 M6G instances. Even if we are able to get the same performance with not 10 but let's say 11 or 12 instances, we still end up spending some dollars for ourselves. So yeah, just to repeat again, there is commercially guaranteed savings that start from day one without any change in the infrastructure. Then you get a platform to get better visibility, and last there is a dedicated team that further provides recommendations to further improve the cost. Here is a glimpse of our customers across different geographies. So some common questions that we generally come across. One is, okay, how much savings can we offer? This honestly depends upon the current health of your infrastructure, whether you are already optimized or whether you have never reviewed the current setup, whether you are aggressively doing reservations or not, whether you are using some services where we can offer higher discounts like CloudFront or AWS Business or Enterprise support. But in general, it varies between anywhere between 5% to 25% of your total spend. And on average, what we have seen across all our existing customers is we are able to deliver 10% of commercial savings across all the customers, and additional 10% savings come in from the well-architected reviews and other recommendations that are delivered by our FinOps services team. What kind of access does CloudKeeper team get? We do not get any kind of access. All basically, we need only a limited read-only access as and when we are conducting those well-architected reviews for providing the insights on the CloudKeeper Lens platform, and on the commercial side, we do not need any kind of access to your AWS account. Onboarding process is literally a few clicks. You simply basically we take your AWS account IDs, send you an invite, link those accounts under our billing with Amazon. That's how we consolidate usage across multiple customers. That's about it. Are there any charges for CloudKeeper? So the answer is no. As we said, basically we are consolidating usage across multiple customers, and we are doing long-term commitments with Amazon. So we are in a way buying that inventory at a much lower price from Amazon compared to, and we are delivering lion's share of those savings to our customers while keeping some of the savings for ourselves. So we make our margins by getting a lower price from Amazon, but not charging anything to the customers. Let me quickly take a pause and quickly invite Alan and Ben, who have been active CloudKeeper customers for a while. Ben, Alan, thank you so much for joining us today. Ben, maybe we can start with you. If you can just quickly introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure, thanks for having us. So as was mentioned previously, I'm the CTO at a company called Qoria. We look after keeping kids safe online. We work predominantly with schools and school districts around the world and parents. We have about 200 sort of staff in our engineering and product teams that are responsible for our work, and I guess my remit is to look after them and to look after our cloud environment. We're a SaaS company, so it's pretty important that we manage that all very closely.
Thank you, Ben. Alan, can you also do a quick introduction?
Hello guys, I'm Alan. Head of Engineering, Fave. So Fave is one of the leading fintech in Southeast Asia. Our business mostly in Malaysia and Singapore. So it's something like you use the app to make more savings. So I think our how do I say this? Our service is more on online and online offline. That's why our service, everything is fully cloud based. That's why we are heavy usage in the cloud.
Thank you, Alan. Ben, I will probably start with you. We started our engagement right when COVID lockdown was at its peak, right? And that was a time when many organizations had an uncertainty. They were not in a position to do long-term commitments, but at the same time, running everything on demand was again not an option, because everybody wanted to preserve some cash, right? So maybe if you can start with what made you choose signing up for CloudKeeper.
Sure. Thanks for the reminder. It was that was a difficult time for sure. I think in terms of predictability for everyone, and our business was no different. We were exposed to certain parts of the market, and we realised that we needed to do a couple of things. We had an unpredictable kind of growth trend, and we wanted to make sure we were able to continue to support the growth that we might experience, but we didn't want to be locked in to things like reserved instances or to committed payment rates. And so that was one of the main drivers for initially, I guess, looking for a solution and looking for ultimately finding CloudKeeper. Absolutely. And thankfully, we came through that time. We were able to weather the initial periods of that, and in fact, our business grew dramatically over the last few years. So we've although we really needed to continue to grow and continue to kind of use additional services on our AWS accounts. We've benefited a lot from that flexibility over that time. We've brought in new businesses and acquisitions. We've added accounts and so on, and we've sort of benefited from the flexibility that we still have to be able to move workloads around and so on without the challenge of managing those commitments.
Right, and I do remember that you also migrated some data analytics workload to GCP. So led to again a drop in the usage on AWS. So again, if you can share with the audience if there was any impact or of the sudden dip, was CloudKeeper able to kind of manage those dips, and still was there any additional cost that you had to incur because of that?
Yeah, no, there wasn't, and in fact, that was certainly one of the concerns, I guess, that we might have had coming into it was, how would those sorts of things be managed? But our experience has been very positive there. So yeah, we've adopted a strategy where we do use Google Cloud for a number of our workloads as well. That's meant that in some of our accounts, we've moved spend out of there, and as we've moved workloads out of there, that's been managed seamlessly from the CloudKeeper team side. Really we sort of provide some advance notice out of wanting to make sure that we're doing the right thing, but there's no kind of requirements there or no issues when that happens. And the other thing we've done, as I mentioned, we've brought other accounts in. So in terms of both offboarding and onboarding accounts, we've done that. And it's really seamless. It's no no joke. I think you mentioned in the slides that it's a few clicks to kind of make it happen. So we've tested that a number of times now, and yeah, certainly can attest to it.
Thank you, Ben. Alan, coming to you, if you can quickly talk about what was the account health when you signed up for CloudKeeper. How soon did you see the benefits coming in?
All right, thanks, Aman. So that time, I think during the MCO, so I think most of the fintech company are having the same situation like Ben just mentioned also. So our costing, the system cost is keep running, even though our business, regardless, is running good or not, we still need to run the system. So in order to run the system, so the cost is the most important. So I still remember the entire organization is assessing the system cost, operational cost. As you know, running a fintech company, we are full cloud-based and our usage is very heavy. So this is one of the highlight that the management is keep looking at it. They asking Alan how about this AWS? Okay, that time is still AWS. We haven't onboard an R to CloudKeeper yet. So they mentioned okay, AWS system cost is most high one. So what we gonna do? So I would say that consider the help. I would say it's not really good lah. So until I can't remember if one of them, I think Neyman, so approached me. So we try and to look what is a CloudKeeper, and then after that we found there's a instant savings account. Then why not we go and have a exploit and try together with Naman and find out that this is very helpful and really instant saving like what they mentioned. This instant saving after you onboard after a month. We receive the billing from CloudKeeper, we immediately see the significant saving from CloudKeeper. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. And so generally we see that trigger for most of the customers during the initial conversations is what are the immediate savings that they are getting based on the current state. And because I would say CloudKeeper lens and FinOps services is something which is in a way difficult to quantify on day one. So were there any additional savings insights that you were able to achieve through our FinOps services team or the platform which you use? Alan?
Okay. To answer your question, so we after we onboard, we has been exposed into one called Cloud CK Lens. There is something like a dashboard to let the customer to see a very useful insight that to understand more on your AWS account. So we found that a lot of the recommendation from the dashboard is really quite useful. So when we click inside and then we see, really this is our instance that can be removed. Like just now, Aman mentioned, okay, we can downgrade or even remove the unused or underutilized resources. So this is the very good insight, especially it filter, or it can be filtered by the category, or it can be filtered by instances, let's say or RDS or EC2. Okay, how much you can saving if you do this action, if you do that action, something like that.
All right. Ben, would you like to add anything on that area?
I've recommended the service to a few people since starting it, and what I've always said is, again, you get some of the visibility in AWS, with the Cost Explorer or some of the tools that they have, but the presentation, and if people have seen a demo of CloudKeeper, the way that it pulls together is, I think, much more intuitive and lets you see those things. So, for example, we've identified significant cost savings in S3 usage, where we're hitting particular buckets heavily and getting high API usage costs. This is something that's probably pretty common, but the way that you can pull that information out on a per bucket basis, for example, it beats what's available natively in AWS, and we've saved thousands of dollars on just that sort of insight alone. Moving some of those services behind CDNs or moving to different storage mechanisms. That's one sort of specific example. But I guess the other thing that's really beneficial to us is, as I mentioned, we have multiple accounts. We're able to use that to sort of break up the different charges that are associated with different products that we support. And so bringing all of that together into a single interface and being able to see those different accounts side by side, have them appear on a single bill, engage with different optimization kind of strategies in each of the accounts has been really useful. We have done on a number of cases, but recently we've run a couple of the review processes against those accounts as well, and got some additional insights and again, achieve some of the savings like you're talking about, I think. The latest one, we're targeting about 10% decrease on an account that we've just done a review by optimizing some of the compute services that are associated there. So that's worked really well. I think we get far better insight from the tool than we had before, which again was one of our concerns. How do we make sure that we don't lose what we had with some of the tooling from AWS, and we certainly haven't.
Alan, next question to you. Do you see any kind of constraints, limitations compared to like how you were billing directly with Amazon? Are there any limitations while you're working through CloudKeeper?
Okay, in terms of limitation, technical wise, I don't think so. But again, it's back to the saving. So costing. So if you directly bill from AWS, I see no benefit or no discount from AWS. So where CloudKeeper, they offer instant discount. And this instant discount, right? So if you can verify via the CK lens, so everything is transparent there. So even the saving plan, the saving cost is writing there. So it's not a scam. This is a legit number. So we also verify with the key account manager from CloudKeeper. So again, so from the limitation, there's nothing on the limitation. It's just that we get more saving. Yes.
Thank you, Alan. On similar lines, Ben, question to you again. Most of the organizations, I would say, are running mission critical workloads on AWS. Many of the customers are like born in cloud organizations who like for them, 100% of their business is online, right? So it is very critical for them to ensure that any cost saving transition engagement does not impact their relationship with Amazon. It is like it's not a vendor relationship. It's more they act as a technical advisor. It's more of a collaborative relationship, right? So was there any impact on the collaboration or relationship with AWS team post this transition?
Sure. For us, actually, as it turned out, unexpectedly, it was a benefit because we had multiple accounts that were spread around, and some of these were in different jurisdictions. So some, based out of the US and some Australia and so on. Once we brought them all together, Amazon, I think, our relationship kind of improved because they recognized or realized the full extent of our hosting services, as opposed to having, separate smaller account managers looking after the different patch. So in our particular case, that was a real benefit. We were able to demonstrate straight away that actually we're a bigger customer than Amazon had thought. And from their perspective, there wasn't any issue that we were consolidating that through CloudKeeper, but it helped us to kind of bring together a consolidated list of all of our accounts and demonstrate that with them. So we've still maintained relationships with Amazon account managers. That hasn't been a problem, and it's actually helped us.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben and Alan, for joining us today and answering all these questions. And thank you for being a wonderful customer, and look forward to our continued association. That's all we had for today. I will open the platform for any Q&A from the audience now. One question that we generally come across is that what happens to the existing reservations or saving plan? So of course, we honor any reservation saving plans that are already active in the account. And once the customers are subscribed to CloudKeeper, they need not do any renewals or any new purchases. All right, looks like there are no more questions. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Sorry, we do have one question. Somebody asked if there is any lock-in period. Not really. So again, for us, we do not need any commitments. So of course, we talked about one portion of the offering, which is CloudKeeper EDP Plus. So that is when, if you are ready to get into a long-term contract, then we can do back-to-back commitments with Amazon and then deliver much higher savings. But in general, no. 95% of our customers are not on any lock-in period. There is a standard notice period that they need to serve, and they are free to move out at any time. Sorry, I didn't get the question. Somebody has asked if this is related to AWS reservations. I'm honestly not clear on the question. Not really. So the notice period does not depend upon the reservations. Of course, we use that notice period to rebalance our commitments across other customers. All right, I think we're good. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Hope you find the session useful.